Hi, my name is Jerry Parker, and I'm a storyteller. And I'll guarantee you that what I tell you is 60% true. I'm going to tell you another story that Robert Service wrote while he was a poet in the Yukon. The name of this story is Bessie's Boil. Now, I need to tell you a little bit about the situation in that day and age. In that day and age, you got a boil or a carbuncle. The only thing that you could do for it was to lance it, cut it down through the middle and squeeze out the pus and the pore that's in there, and then take iodine and disinfect the area. This all happened before penicillin. Today, you have antibiotics. They didn't have it then. This is a story about Bessie who gets a boil. The story is called Bessie's Boil. Said I to my missus, "By goom, lass, there's something I see on your mind." She says, "You're right, Sam. I've something, but it happens to be on my behind. I've a boil as bad as make Job be jealous, and it hurts no end when I sit." Says I, "Why don't you go to the hospital where the doctors is at?" She says, I just hate to be showing the part of me person that it's at." Says I, "Don't be fussy. Them doctors sees sights far more horrid than that." So when my missus, she gets all togged up tasty, and she goes to the hospital door. And there the boys tell her to see the house doctor, whose office is room 34. So my missus, she hunts up and down till she finds it and knocks. And the boy says, "Come in." And she enters. And there's a handsome young feller, all togged up in white from his heels to chin. "I got a big boil," says my missus, "and if you're sure you don't mind, I'd like to have you inspect it. It happens to be on my behind. Sam, that's me husband, has asked me to ask you to cut it a bit." And she hastened to show him the place. He stared at her kind of surprised like and got very red in the face. But he looked at it most conscientious. And then he said with a frown, "What you have is a boil, I can feel. But it looks like a case for the head doctor. We call him Professor O'Neill. He's special for boils and carbuncles. You'll find him in room 63. But I'm no hesitating in telling you, you have a hill of a boil." My missus, she thanks him politely for saying she has a hill of a boil, and she goes and walks up and down till she finds a big handsome room with Professor O'Neill on the door. She knocks. "Who's there?" And she enters, and there's a fat feller in whiskers, all togged up in white. I got a big boil, says my missus, and if sure you don't mind, I'd like to have you inspected. It hurts like all, and it's on my behind. And she hastened to show him the spot. He looked at her kind of surprised like and said, "Ma'am, that sure must hurt you a lot." He put on his specs to regard it, and he looked at it from every angle of view. Then he said, "Poor lady, I feel sorry for you. What you have is a boil, I can feel. What you need is the head doctor. He's he's special for for cutting a boil. You'll find him in room 63. His name is Dr. Hoyle." So my missus, she thanks him politely for saying that she had a hell of a boil. And she huts up and down till she finds it. But by now she's fair got her limb up, and she's a trembling in every limb. But then she thinks of it all. He's a doctor. I mustn't be bashful with him. My missus has made a good stuffing. And once more she knocks, and a voice says, "Who's there?" "It's me," said my Bessie, as she enters a room which is spacious and bare. "It's a room where they cut you," thinks Bessie, and shakes like a jelly with fright. And there's a wise-looking old man, all dressed up in white. "I got a big boil," said my missus, "and it hurts like all when I sit," and hastened to show him the place. And he looked at her kind of surprised like, and got very red in the face. But he looked at it most conscientious, from every angle of view. And then he said, "Poor lady, I feel sorry for you. What you have is a boil, I can feel, and it need a doctor to cut it. Say, why don't you go to the hospital where all the doctors is at? You see, this wing of the building's closed for repairs, and we're only the painters a painting the halls and the stairs." Thank you. I'm Jerry Parker. I'm a storyteller.